Radiance ban. Ten seconds to go. 5 seconds. Reserve time.
Good evening and welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. We're getting ready to close out week 11 as we head out east for UMass Amherst versus Purdue. 3 more weeks of matches remain after this as we head into the playoffs, so it's a good time to get those wins and try to secure your path on the road for the DreamHack Finals. Big shout out to our sponsors, Twitch, for sponsoring the CSL and featuring our matches every week. We are proud to be affiliated with the largest gaming streaming provider in the world, and Asus Republic of Gamers is the presenting sponsor of the CSL this year. Asus makes some of the world's best gaming PCs, laptops, and monitors, and is funding the season's travel to DreamHack as well as our prize pool for the year. Be sure to follow their social media at Asus_ROG and thank them for sponsoring the CSL because they put up all the money, all the scholarships, all the things we need to keep this thing running, as well as paying for all of these top teams to fly out to Austin to compete at DreamHack Live. Going to be a lot of fun tonight. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV, and I'm joined, as always, by my intrepid co-caster, the color man, the master of commentary, Gorgon the Wonder Cow. How are you doing tonight?
5 seconds.
All right, give him just a second, see if we can't get the sound working here.
Reserve time.
It's going to be a pretty good game between these two teams tonight. If all goes as expected, Purdue will come out on top. Based on what we know of these teams' play in the past, UMass Amherst is running 2-8 in the overall. So this is a team that hasn't really shown their best, doesn't look like they're in a position to really move into the playoffs. However, Purdue is 7-2 on the overall, so they need to win this to continue their push to try and achieve a top qualifying position going into playoffs. UMass Amherst could win out the remainder of the season and stand a chance of at least getting in and having to fight their way up from the bottom. So hopefully that they can accomplish that. We will see as the season continues to go forward. It is worth noting UMass Amherst has come through a much more difficult early season. Their season 1, or the first half of the season's bracket, included schools like UConn, Illinois, Rutgers, Robert Morris. These are powerhouses that have won very, very well in a lot of different games.
10
On the
seconds
opposite,
to go.
Purdue didn't have as much of a challenge in the Midwest with teams like Iowa,
5 seconds.
Minnesota, Michigan State, who've struggled a little bit in the early season. So this will be a good test to see if Purdue really does deserve the record that they have as they prepare to march forward, as we said, towards DreamHack. So let's talk a little bit about the draft so far as we still wait for Gorgon to get back and join us here. Spirit Breaker going to get picked up in the Invoker pretty early on. Both heroes that we've seen a lot of, that Invoker ever so popular right now. And you know, they nerfed him a little bit. They took away some of his ability to early run the lane. With the alacrity change, and I think that that's been a nice tiny nerf, but he still is really, really effective in the early game, and super effective in a lineup that knows how to run him. Now, we talk about this a lot
10 seconds to go.
With Gorgon, and it is very interesting to say
5 seconds.
that it's a hero that at this level isn't always the best. It's not
Reserve
always
time.
you don't always have a player who can play it exceedingly well. And when the players here, these aren't pros, these are college students. They have full-time jobs, obviously, or as being students, and they don't have the time that you would expect a pro to put in. So when you can find a player at this level who's a really strong invoker, it can go a long way towards sort of moving your team to that next level.
5 seconds. Dyer's ban. Ten seconds to go. Radiant's ban.
All right, we're just gonna switch over to this, and hopefully it works out. Gorgon, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you. Let's just hope it holds up as we go into this draft underway. We've seen some pretty typical stuff that we expect to see on a regular basis here. The Invoker we talked about already, a little bit about the Spirit Breaker, and the Bat Rider and the Vengeful Spirit picked up. Now, Bat Rider is a hero who's, I think, started to return fairly rapidly into the competitive scene. There was a long period of time where we didn't see much Bat Rider, but now he's making a comeback. Why didn't we see him, and why is he returning?
I don't even know that I'd go so far as to say a comeback so much as a situational pick up sort of thing. He's got like 150 games on this patch, something like that. A lot of that is just Alliance's influence, though. A lot of that is the influence of S4, basically. You still see him picked up a bit by guys like Moon Meander. You see him picked up a little bit by Sumail as well. Not a hero that we've seen Sumail play before in his professional career. But a lot of that comes down to Alliance's success over the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and the fact that S4 is so good with that hero.
Makes sense. Okay, so it seems... So what you're saying is it seems almost like it's coming back with players that excel at that hero, not because he's sort of just strong in the meta right now.
Right, yeah. He is on a slow growth,
right?
But he's not been above 50% pick ban rate for a long time. And never this patch has he passed 50% pick ban.
Okay.
Actually, as of the last big professional tournament, he's slightly on the decline, I think.
Okay.
So he had a couple of weeks in there where he almost hit that 50% mark that you might consider in meta. But yeah, I do think it largely comes down to he is a viable hero, but he's more difficult to play than he used to be. And when you see him in the hands of a really good Bat Rider player with a team that's really good at building around that Bat Rider, other teams start to say, oh, I can see how that hero might work, and they pick at it as well.
You know, when I look at this patch and the things that we've seen come out of it, initially everybody said this is an Alliance patch. Some of these heroes that are really great for Alliance players got buffed. And then you talk about the S4 Bat Rider. It seems in a lot of ways, like it's not necessarily an Alliance patch, but this patch has a vibe to it that makes me feel like it really does sort of benefit players who have mastered heroes. I feel like in the past, like the last meta we talked about a lot on the show here, the idea of like this sort of physical damage meta that went on, armor reduction metas. This one just really seems like it wants to focus on individual player skill and hero mastery. Do you ever get that feeling, or do you think that's just me?
I would not necessarily disagree with you, if only because a lot of the heroes that are innately strong this patch, they are heroes that require mastery in order to execute. Your Invoker, Earth Spirit, Bat Rider being great examples of heroes that have an immensely high skill cap.
Okay.
And are very difficult to play, even at a high level player, right? They're very difficult to play if you've not played hundreds of games with them, if not at least dozens of games with them, maybe at the collegiate level. But if a hero like Wraith King is in the meta, what a professional player tends to rely on more than individual strength on that hero is strength at the game, good decision making, understanding complex builds, understanding teamwork, that sort of stuff. If you're playing an Earth Spirit, really what you rely on more than anything else is your ability to execute that hero because he's so complicated.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Rubik's gonna get picked up. Speaking of heroes that I think are complicated, a very difficult. Rubik is sort of like the poker of Dota, right? Like, he's incredibly easy to learn, but incredibly hard to master. Really understanding the finesse that Rubik requires, I think, is something that is very difficult to see, and that's why guys like FY and Kuro sort of can build their legacy on this hero, right? Because he's so unique in so many ways.
Rubik is a hero that no matter what game you're in, no matter what your team comp or your opponent's team comp, he's a hero that can literally make a game. Like by himself, he can just make a win. He can make a win out of a loss. He can make a loss out of a win. A really good Rubik player like Fi, as you mentioned, or Kuro, is really a defining hero for a matchup.
And no game's the same with him. There's a lot of heroes where, yes, you may build differently based on the game and the way it's going. Yes, you might play it slightly differently, but no hero, I think, changes to the level that Rubik does per game. As obviously,
Yeah.
you have to sort of figure out who your opponents are, what you want to steal, how you're going to utilize that against your opponents, what to keep. And I love watching Rubik play, and I'm really excited to see what Purdue has here. Now, on a side
10
note,
seconds
I
to
do want to
go.
mention this, Gorgon, that this is an exciting game for me because it's kind of
5
near and dear to my
seconds.
heart to a certain extent. Because as you know, I went to college in Indiana, where Purdue University is located. Then I
Reserve
moved to
time.
Massachusetts for work for a while, and now I'm back in Indiana, right in the neck of the woods of
10
Purdue. So
seconds to
this
go.
is kind of a everywhere that Toffees has lived throwdown. So I'm excited to
5
see which
seconds.
team comes out on top, and I secretly hope it's Purdue just so I feel better about moving back to Indiana.
Well,
Radiant's
Purdue does
pick.
have the better record,
Yes.
so you're cheering for the for the overdog.
But
Is that a thing?
as I told the audience a little bit earlier, you have to remember that at University of Massachusetts Amherst is coming out in the first half of the season. They had a brutal East League. I mean, they were going against UConn and Rutgers and some of the big dogs that we've seen play, whereas Purdue University hasn't had nearly that level of competition in the sense of a lot of their league has
10
been
seconds to
Iowa
go.
and some other teams that have had a hard time getting off the ground. So this is an important game for me because I want to see which of these teams deserves the record that they have. And if the hype is lived up to, if the expectation is there, then Purdue should railroad University of Massachusetts 2-0. But I suspect University of Massachusetts is not the pushover that maybe Purdue is expecting them to be.
Yeah, well, Purdue looked to be running an off-lane Batrider, which is a really interesting choice. That's
Old
not
school.
where you typically see it run anymore for a lot of really glaringly obvious reasons that we'll get
Let's
into
keep
maybe
it
a little
clean,
bit later in the
folks.
cast after we introduce some of these teams.
Yeah, so let's do some quick
Better get
introductions now that
ready.
you brought it up. Let's start out with the boys up on the dire side, University of Massachusetts Amherst. We're going to have Rain HS is going to be playing the gyrocopter. We're going to have Dragonfire lighting it up on the Templar Assassin. That is a great player name, by the way. Steven will be playing the Spirit Breaker, an even better player name if I do say so myself. Macaroni and Chia is going to be playing the Tide Hunter. And last but certainly not least, C will be swapping on the Vengeful Spirit.
All right, and here for Purdue, moving into the off lane, it's going to be game of Tilt burning up on that Bat Rider. Looking down toward the mid lane, we've got Tweak chilling out on the Lich, and G playing the Invoker, and of
30
course,
seconds
Kill
to
Someone
go.
is going to be thieving around on that Rubik, and Han is waveforming on the Morphling.
Those are the lineups as they stand. Last hit deny charts up for you guys on the left side of the screen. It's going to be an awful lot of fun tonight as we watch this Week 11 throwdown between Purdue and the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Boys and girls, this is the Road to DreamHack. 3 weeks left to make your case to get into the playoffs to earn your all-expense-paid trip, courtesy
And
of
away
Asus
we
Republic
go.
of Gamers, to the big event, the first DreamHack to be held in North America. It's going to be in Austin, Gorgon, and guess what? There's no Dota there except for collegiate Dota. So it's going to be a good time, a lot of fun, and a LAN experience that is really a once-in-a-lifetime, I think, for a lot of these players. So everything's on the line. Let's see how it breaks out. Tweak's going to go to the middle lane, go ahead and eat some creeps, do some blocking to give Pug a little bit of an advantage, and already Equilibrium heavily in his favor. How important is that for Invoker to get an early jump on Dragonfire here?
It's important, like it gives him a slight CS advantage, but I wouldn't say that it will make or break the lane, so to speak, right? It will eventually go back into Dragonfire's favor if she doesn't play too aggressively, and she's doing just fine getting up and getting those last hits.
So
She's actually doing way better than the Invoker is. The Invoker doesn't have any yet, so.
yeah, and Invoker may have a little bit of trouble dealing with Dragonfire here. I feel like Invoker not the best hero to sort of go head-to-head with that refraction. And it looks like Dragonfire is already going to start to abuse that right out the gate. Up on the top lane, we've got the off-lane Batrider you brought up. Talk to me a little bit about the difficulties associated with this off-lane Batrider that Game of Tilt is likely to encounter.
Okay, well, one of the reasons that Batrider began to exist in the off lane in the first place around TI3, maybe just after TI2, is, and remember, that's back in the time where Batrider was 100% pick ban for, I think, 13 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was the hero of Dota for a really long time.
Right.
And after that period, he got really significantly nerfed down. And one of the ways that they did that was they changed the magical damage from Firefly and Flame Break. He's actually going to be moved on here.
Okay,
It's
let's
gonna
go
be
take a look at that.
charged.
Jump to the top lane where he's under. Wow, I don't know about. Pops the Firefly, goes for safety, and he just gets out, but that's going to hurt him pretty severely.
Yeah. So one of the reasons that he had formerly been moved into the off lane from mid is because his ability to use Sticky Napalm and Firefly in conjunction to knock down jungle stacks was really overwhelmingly powerful. So you could retire from the off lane, same as a Darkseer, same as a Tidehunter, right? And just knock down jungle stacks to catch up if you fall behind. So if you have a rough lane, if you're up against a tri-lane like Game of Tilt is, you have a fallback plan. But now, Firefly does way less damage than it used to do in those days. And in addition, creeps take less magical damage overall as of the most recent patch. So there are a lot of aspects stacking up on top of each other to make his catch-up potential really weak compared to what it used to be. Definitely. So if he doesn't get at least his levels during this lane, and he's not likely to get very much gold for a Blink Dagger, it will be immensely difficult for him to come back.
Now, worth noting, to his credit, by the way, that last gank happened at about 145. He had the wherewithal to use his Firefly to get over to this creep camp and stack it during the escape process. So kudos to him. I think that anytime you see players, you know, these guys aren't pros. I cannot stress that enough, but they play damn well, and I love seeing players have that sort of ability to keep their heads about them. I think it speaks volumes for what I hope to see out of this Bat Rider as the game goes on.
You see him, he's got a triple stack now. He's going to probably need 5 stacks of Sticky Napalm before he can even consider starting this Firefly attempt. And yeah, he will start it on 5. He should be able to knock this down, but it will take a lot longer than it used to, which means he's spending a lot of time not harassing, not zoning, and not getting any lane experience.
Now, luckily for him, his opponents have had 3 on lane for most of the time. We now see the supports leaving lane to go do some stacking and some searching. But they sat there pretty tight on the gyrocopter for much of the time that this stack was going on. So that did spread out a little bit of that XP, so Game of Tilt won't fall as far behind as he otherwise could have. Looks like Macaroni and Cheese is going to go ahead and stack the Ancients. Meanwhile, leaves his lane to do that. And Dragonfire heads towards the bottom rune. We'll grab a restoration for the bottle. Could not be happier, I don't think.
This is blocked, and Macaroni and Cheese doesn't realize it. A very well-placed sentry is not going to allow this Tidehunter to catch up. So now, officially, the Bat Rider's catch-up is better than Tidehunter. Normally, you'd expect those to be reversed.
Right.
Because Tidehunter has a physical damage AoE ability, you'd expect him to be able to knock down an Ancient stack, which is way more effective than knocking down a handful of jungle creeps like the Bat Rider is doing.
Purdue doing a very good job in this early game, making some strong decisions, smart wards, and so far so good. If we take a look at the net worth, you're going to see that Purdue is up by about 750 across the map as they've managed to keep their farm going, but there is a rotation towards the middle. Steven on the big charge, going to close on Pug, kill someone coming in from behind, but he's not going to get there in time, I don't think, as PUG does manage to get the Ghost Walk off, so he will hide. They don't have any vision with them, and now Kill Someone's got to be a little careful. Jukes backwards through the trees. Dragonfire's got to go out the back way, and they dodge a gank very effectively, and actually Invoker pretty much dodged that by himself, which works out great because Invoker gets to stay in lane, and both of those supports have to rotate all the way back to where they were.
Yeah, and not to mention, this whole time, Macaroni and Cheese is contributing nothing because he's still not sure that this is a block camp. He tried to stack it again during that fight.
Oh, no, really?
And that's reasonable because he got to the other stack at 55 instead of 53. So he might have thought, oh, I just didn't get it in time. But he did actually manage to sneak it in there. It's just blocked.
And then by the time he actually dewards this, it would have dewarded on its own. So just a tough situation for Mr. Macaroni and Cheese. Charge coming towards Tweak, though, as Tweak took over the top lane, as we saw a rotation out by the Bat Rider to the jungle. And I doubt that charge will continue as more of a return to lane charge. But we do have Game of Tilt now completely forsaking the jungle, going to stack these camps and just commit to farming here.
Ripbreaker was pinging up top. It looked like he wanted somebody to go in and decided better of it. Maybe his teammate talked him down.
I hope so.
That would have been a very greedy charge onto the Lich. Lich, not a hero you typically want to dive.
It's a bit too much of that Boston passion. Macaroni and Cheese does get hit by Han. Han putting a lot of damage on him. We did grab an early Kraken shell, smartly so he will be able to walk away, but Han's making sure that Macaroni and Cheese just has no ability to get in and get much of anything at all. There's the jump, and that's a first blood. Han making plays for days, doing a great job of getting a first blood. Tidehunter having a terrible, frustrating start to this game. I can't imagine being in his situation. Now we do see a charge back towards G on the bottom. And looks like he might just come straight through. He's got the follow-up on Venge, but she's only level 3. Cancels the last second and has to walk away. So again, big rotation. all of the supports committed and nothing to come of it.
So you asked me how big of a deal is this lane equilibrium in the mid lane, and I said it should flow back toward the TA and it won't end up being the deciding factor in this lane. But as it turns out, Invoker is doing a much better job of controlling his equilibrium. He's got 17 denies, and he's been up on this hill basically the entire game. We've seen that they are actively thinking on trying to rotate into this Invoker and kill him. They've been unable to because of his really superior lane, just equilibrium control. And if he had rotated out at any point in time, he probably would have died by now.
Absolutely. And he's still third on the CS list, considering the fact that there have been an overwhelming amount of attempted ganks on him where he's been forced to sort of hide for a second. He's still ahead of the TA by over 10 last hits right now. If we look at the net worth stat, you're going to see he's number 3. Radiant's holding 3 of the top 4 farm positions, and that is something that Dyer's got to be a little bit worried about at this stage of the game, because Purdue, to me, has a lineup that has a lot of potential at the 10 to 12 minute mark to just sort of pick up and become an issue.
Yeah, I would even say that those rotations to the mid lane have been worse for the TA than they have been for the Invoker. Invoker gets pushed back into his tower for a minute. TA has the lane pushed further up. She loses some experience, and she's unable to last hit for the entire duration that those supports are there. She's got a haste, and she is thinking about diving G.
And she's going in. G going to hit the tornado. Immediately goes into, again, here he comes out. Got the Ghost Walk ready for escape. And he'll back off. Meanwhile, Tweak's going to get charged by Steven. Steven has to cancel again. And all that's going to happen is Rain will take a bunch of damage from the tower. No lucky bounce. Rain puts out the call down.
Oh, no. Why?
Wow.
It's over. It's over. Why stop for the call down? He was in the clear until he stopped to turn around.
And the blink was up. Game of Tilt reveals it, comes out, puts down the lasso. Tweak is here, kills someone's here. Wants to live up to his namesake, but gives the last hit to Game of Tilt. And I'll tell you what, Batrider's not tilting, but it would not surprise me if University of Massachusetts was on the verge of doing so. The gold lead is skyrocketed to 4,000. XP has up past 5. And now the top 3 net worth are solidified for Radiant by a significant margin. That bottom, that Morphling, the guy who hasn't been involved in these sort of conflicts up top, he got the 1 pick on the Tidehunter. He is looking very, very strong right now, 4.3k, and not a lot of trouble. Now, it looks like maybe they got the memo. They're going to charge him here on the bottom, rotation around from Dragonfire, hoping to make something happen. Han's got to be a little bit careful here. There's the slow. Dragonfire is going to come in. TP's come out, and the TP too far forward. Lets Han know what's going on. Han will back away safely.
I think he had a sense of what was happening there before that TP even came in. This player seems to have a pretty good sense of the map awareness. He's been pushing up whenever his opponents are occupied otherwise, and he's kind of faded back whenever they're not. He's had really good positioning, and he's also forced that Tidehunter out, knowing when that Tidehunter can and cannot actually get support.
Absolutely. No, I would say he's definitely playing this hero fluidly, and it is exciting to watch.
Yeah, everybody from Purdue really seems to have a very good understanding of the fluidity of map movement, when you need to go to a various point, where you need to back off. That's a very difficult skill to learn. It's something that I think everybody struggles with at every level, but especially when you're talking team on team. Just the ease with which they rotate Tweak into the off lane and Game of Tilt out of the off lane so that they maximize their farm really shows that this team is communicating well.
Macaroni and Cheese still level 5, trying desperately to get that Ravage online. He's got a nice little stack going on here finally. Gonna try to make it a little bit bigger, and I don't know, man. So if you are in the position that, I'm gonna stop for a second as we get a jump by Game of Tilt. Use that Blink Dagger, caught inside of the call down, gets stunned. He's gotta try to run, but the charge from Steve is there. But that is a massive ulti from the Lich. 1, 2, 3, and Game of Tilt lives. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, man.
An engorged failure for UMA there. They can't afford to be dropping these. 7-0 at this point. They're going to start losing towers by the fistful. That was 1,000 gold swing, largely onto the Lich, but a good chunk of that went to the Batrider as well, who has Blink Dagger up and is getting close to 4-staff.
I mean, let's put that in context. We were just talking about the Tidehunter trying to get to level 6. Lich is already sitting at level 8. He's about to be 9 as he pushes down this tower. And that's just
he's the second position offlaner. He's not even the primary offlaner.
He was just there eating creeps for funsies.
Yeah,
so,
this is...
I mean, at the end of the day, this is tough. It's 7,500 gold on the overall advantage right now. Morphling has all over 2,000 gold advantage to the TA, and it's just going to continue to get worse from here. Morphling with the helm of the Dominator up and running right now, and has already taken one tower and is uncontested pushing into number 2 as Macaroni and Cheese still desperately tries to get to level 6.
And just, you didn't miss anything on that kill up top. It was just a gyrocopter. The Lich got a bit too full of himself and literally just walked into a rocket barrage and died trying to TP.
That'll happen.
Do something about
Yeah,
that bottom tower.
the one saving grace is avarice, right?
Right.
The other team is going to feel like they, especially supports, have a tendency to do this. They feel like they're invincible when they're really very much not, because their team is so far ahead. I'll just stay for the last 2 or 3 creeps. Oh, I'll just harass this guy. Happens all the time. Once again, all levels of play. I do that all the time. It's one of my biggest weaknesses, right?
Yep.
It's just it is the way it is. But at least they managed to grab themselves a kill.
I heard.
Oh, really wise. Did you see that
No, I
from
missed
Game
it.
of Tilt? They are undercover smoke moving to their opponent's jungle, and they're trying to use this Rubik illusion to bait somebody out.
Right.
It didn't end up working, but it looked like it was going to be really good.
Yeah, definitely a good idea. Smart play. They saw they didn't get anything, so he's going to go ahead and just wait for the defense to come. Look at this. He's hoping a TP comes in to stop the push. No TP coming, so he will just go ahead and burn himself out of the trees, make sure he's not stuck. No, they do catch someone. In came the Tidehunter. Macaroni and Cheese finally hits 6. Hits his Ravage in a prayer.
no.
Steven gonna charge, but Game of Tilt dodges it. Now Han comes in to make something happen. Steven's gotta run, but it ain't going nowhere as they get the counter kill. Tide had to run for the hills. Batrider's going to live, and man, I thought...
Tidehunter came in without enough mana to Ravage and then Anchor Smash.
Right.
So Rubik got the Ravage.
Oh, wow, he did, didn't he?
Rubik has that Ravage now.
That's not what... That's
That's
something
way
you
worse
would
than
say.
losing the Tidehunter, quite
Yeah.
honestly. 'Cause that's probably going to lead to 2 deaths later on, rather than the 1 death there.
Absolutely.
And also, the Ravage is on cooldown for the Tidehunter now, just to save his life. That was a terrible engagement and really well positioned by Purdue.
Kill someone looking around. We do see that Game of Tilt was also pretty hungry. Had the Blink Dagger up, using that Firefly to push this lane. This will be the second tier 1 to fall. There's not much they can do to stop it at the moment. We've got Rain HS going to try to be farming on the Gyrocopter. He's close to his helm, but he's nowhere near as close as Han is, because Han's now at 7k net worth individually. The overall gold lead by Purdue is 7,500. So almost the lion's share of gold lead is on Han, who's had nothing contested at all in this game.
Yeah, he had about 30 seconds of feigned contest from the Tidehunter. Now it's about it. This mid tower, I don't even know that they can defend it. If they move into this Rubik Ravage, they're going to regret it. And they're going to.
They're going to move in, make the big grab. They're going to go Dragonfly up in the air. EMP comes out. Big Ravage catches 1, catches 2, 3, 4. Last man standing is the Macaroni and Cheese, and he's going to run back inside of his Kraken shell, which may as well be made of Velveeta for all the good it's been doing him in this game.
Yeah, that was a nice initiation by the Batrider, a good follow-up by Kill Someone, who killed a lot of people there. Not directly, but certainly with the Ravage, he helped. He didn't end up getting another spell, but maybe he just wants to hold on to the... No, it'll expire before he can Ravage again. So the worst thing that you can say about that fight for Purdue is that Rubik didn't get another spell to use for the next fight. He's got to wait. When that's your biggest problem, things are going pretty well for you, huh, Toffees?
Sorry, trying to make sure everything's running smoothly here. Oh, Han's invisible. Gonna go ahead and find Steven and the rest of the crew. Who's he gonna try to pick off here? He looks like he wants to get cheeky. This is one of those examples where we're used to too much hubris, and I'm used to Han deciding to make the carry to make this engagement, but he decides not to. He goes and farms the opponent's jungle instead, and he may actually get a bonus kill as C comes forward to put a ward up. Drops this down, immediately gets vision of what Morphling's up to. Now we see a rotation by Rain. Looks like he may want to try to engage this, but he doesn't have any help yet. He's got to be careful. Moves on Han. Han taking a ton of damage. Gonna go ahead and wait for him to get out. Cooldown's gonna come up, as is the rocket. The stun from Stevens coming through as well. This could be a dead Han, but here comes Tweak. Starts the zoning out, puts up the mech. Rut-row. HS caught in a tough spot. He is gonna get locked down and drop like the Red Baron.
Yeah, dealing with a Morphling is always deceptive, because if you're going to try to burn him down like that, he's just going to strength morph. And he's getting more health than you're taking away per second when he's doing that.
All right, so the gold lead need 13,000 XP 10. Give me as the analyst who watches so much Dota, tell me, how do you get back into this as Amherst?
They need to make sure that they're not giving Batrider the initiation potential, which is very difficult right now because there's the Blink Dagger and Force Staff up. But they have the Vengeful Spirit. They need to get Vengeful Spirit Nether Swap. So she needs to hit level 6. At that point in time, they can start to de-initiate some of these problems. As soon as the Batrider comes in, the Nether Swap to swap her out, or swap out. Make sure that the Vengeful Spirit is far enough back that she's not going to be the target of that lasso, right? Then once you get the swap out, the Batrider is out of position, and you re-engage with Call Down Ravage. And that's the only way they can do it. They need to make sure, though, that they're spread out enough that Chain Frost doesn't hit them. They need to make sure that the Venge is prepared to counter out the Batrider, and they need to make sure that Ravage is not stolen by the Rubik. Ideally, neither will Call Down be stolen. Okay. That's a lot to handle, but they could ostensibly at least trade semi-even in some of these fights, which would be a win for UMA at this stage if they manage to get all that.
If they manage to get all that, I think is the moral of the story. So let's see if they do. This is one of those fights that, you know, if Purdue decides to take it, which it looks like they might not, it could, you know, that's one of those force the GG fights. You either go in, you try to get a 5-man wipe and utterly devastate them so they don't want to fight anymore, or you fade off and get some farm. I think it looks like PU is making the right decision. I was going to say that they thought about renaming the Collegiate Star League the Hubris Star League because of the amount of throws and just aggressive play we see by teams that are ahead. But Purdue seems to be resisting the Sirens call here.
Yeah, to be fair, if you rename CSL that, then every league would have to make reference to that. I can't tell you how many professional games I see thrown that same way, though maybe not to the same extreme, because you don't usually see leads to the same extreme that you see in the CSL, right? The difference in skill at the professional level is typically smaller than the difference in skill between the top and bottom CSL team, but once again, that is an affliction that damages every level of play.
Absolutely. I think it's a byproduct of the format of the long game, I believe. The fact that, you know, you're out here for 60 minutes, you feel like you're ahead. You're not overly punished if you give up a kill. But as we all know, all it takes is one to start a downhill slide that can result in your team losing a game that you never should have lost.
Yeah, it is like, you know, any sport, but especially like boxing, or I don't know if you've ever done any martial arts doing something like judo. There's a big part of judo that is just remaining calm when you're ahead or behind, because it is a point-based system. There's stand play and ground play. And the fact of the matter is, it's really easy to feel like you were outmatching your opponent and then find yourself suddenly pointed out at the end because you didn't get the pin. And same for boxing, right? It's really easy to find yourself, oh man, I got pointed out in the last 3 rounds because I didn't get the KO that I was expecting.
I have not boxed, I have not judoed, but it sounds right to me. You know, I think it's a little bit like curling. No, I'm kidding. I know nothing about curling.
Curling is amazing. It's the game of ice physics, Toppies. How do you not know?
I mean, I'm a bit of a shuffleboard man, but I've never played myself like
the poor man's curling. It's okay.
Say it's the bar man's curling, but okay. Gold lead is at about 20,000. XP is at 17. Purdue University showing us exactly why they have the record that they have. Thinking about maybe changing their name from Purdue University Gaming to Purdue University Giants, as that is how they have been playing here today. Game of Tilt, utilizing the Firefly to scout. He's been doing this a lot in the game very, very effectively. Look at the pathing he's taking to make sure that he gains maximum visibility without giving up anything. He also clears out a lot of trees to let his team be able to see anything they want through the rotation. They catch Rain. That's a massive get. The carry gets taken out with 0 resistance, and Purdue gets another big fight. I mean,
yeah, gigantus.
What do you do? The Lich is the number 4 most farmed hero on the map right now.
Yeah, you can't be having your gyrocopter out that far. I hate to say it because it really feels, if you're UMA, it feels like why bother playing if we can't have our gyrocopter 6 feet outside of our base.
But 6 feet out, 6 feet under.
Yeah, that's precisely it. Right? If you are not feeling capable of taking fights with high ground advantage, then you're definitely not capable of protecting yourself from ganks, right? Especially with, they have no vision on that side of the map. So ostensibly, arguably, potentially, if the gyrocopter went to the north side of the map, at least he would have a chance of seeing something before it happens.
Oh my goodness. TA picks up a Desolator. Morphling picks up an Aegis to go along with his Yasha and his Ghost Scepter that have already proven very difficult to deal with. Ags Aether Lens on PU. Uh-oh. Macaroni and Cheese gets picked up, thrown down. EMP. Right click is there. He's going to run for the hills. Can he get out? Oh, not when a Tornado's ready to go. And this Invoker has been playing very, very well. They get a nice kill. And Game of Tilt's going to go ahead and pop the Firefly. Looks for Pink. Blinks ahead. Finds her. Dragonfire goes invisible, but she's inside of the Firefly. So that's going to wreck all of her refraction charges. And 4 staffs away. Beautifully played by the Batrider to force everybody to sort of make bad choices. Worth noting that the Rubik currently has himself a flat cannon. We saw the Venge just get melted. Good Lord.
As almost immediately as you said there's a Ghost Scepter on the Morphling, he went over and finished his Ethereal Blade, which is what I was trying to get out before that fight. So maybe 3 members? I guess they're actually a pretty tanky team. So probably 4 of the 5 of them can survive a shotgun. But barely, as we just saw.
Rain HS goes down, another dead Gyrocopter. In comes the play from Macaroni and Cheese. Buys some time with the Ravage, but Rubik, using that very effectively, seals the Charge of Darkness. Not going to need it, though, as they picked off 4. Last man standing is the Venge, and the G comes out at 23 minutes with a gold lead of over 25,000. Purdue University taking it to the house. Boiler up, Ancient down. Well played, boys. Now we're going to game 2 of this best of 3. University of Massachusetts Amherst is going to have to put their big boy pants on and figure out how not to let this happen again. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV. I'm joined by my co-caster, Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can find him at the Wonder Cow. And of course, you can follow Collegiate Star League at C Star League over on Twitter or at Collegiate Star League on theinternet.com to see when the next games are and what else is going on. We got a lot of fun here tonight, and if you like StarCraft, just a heads up, we're also running StarCraft on our second channel this evening, so lots of collegiate esports going on all the time. Stick around, don't go anywhere, we'll play some music and hang out and chat, and be back with Game 2 of Purdue University versus University of Massachusetts Amherst. Enjoy the sounds, and as always, Toffees out. Welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. We're getting ready to close out Week 11, guys. UMass Amherst versus Purdue. The last game was a barn burner, resulting in Purdue taking a strong win over University of Massachusetts. They choose to defend themselves in this Game 2 and trying to take it to Game 3. Big shout out to our sponsors, Twitch, for supporting the CSL and featuring our matches weekly, as well as Asus Republic of Gamers, who is a presenting sponsor. They are supplying the scholarship, the $15,000 prize pool, as well as all the travel expenses to bring the top 4 teams to DreamHack Austin to compete in the LAN final. Don't forget, we also cover StarCraft 2 and Hearthstone. In fact, StarCraft 2 is on live right now as well, Tuesday and Thursday nights on the second channel. CSGO and League of Legends, all available 6 nights a week here on this channel. So sub for the best in collegiate Dota. Make sure you come back and watch lots and lots of esports at the college level. And if you miss anything from any of our leagues, you can go to youtube.com/cstarleague to check out past matches. Gorgon. Now, before I say anything, my name's Toffees. You guys, I think, are familiar with us. We're here every single week. This is Gorgon the Wonder Cow, my co-caster. Gorgon is a master of analytics and sort of understanding the meta of the game. And I often ask him, why did this happen? And Gorgon, you get that all the time from me. You'll get messages where I say, hey, why'd they build this way? Or why did this happen in this pro game? So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to say, why did University of Massachusetts look like a couple of toddlers trying to fight their teenage brother?
You know, I don't think that's a fair depiction.
I like that. Why not?
Because a toddler trying to fight his teenage brother, it implies that there was some sort of fight coming out of the toddler.
Brutal.
And in this case, I don't necessarily know that there was.
It didn't feel that way. It was tough. I mean, we hit a point where the supports for Purdue were at almost level 10, and the supports for and the offlaner for Massachusetts was still level 5. It just was no coming back from that.
There were more good ravages from the Rubik than from the Tidehunter, too.
That is true.
So here's the problem. That UMA, they just straight up got mechanically outplayed in every lane.
Yeah.
And on top of that, their rotation communication appeared to be, obviously I'm not in the booth with them, I'm here wasting time with you, but I suspect that if I were in the booth with them, it would have been bedlam. They did not seem to be on the same page all the time. The rotations from the supports always came at a time where the equilibrium was not in favor for a rotation potential. It just, some of it seemed like amateurish teamwork. Some of it just seemed like Purdue are really on the ball with their individual mechanical skill. But all of those factors kind of come together for a really devastating performance. The other thing is that UMA, to me at least, they seem to feel like the only way out was to double down on getting kills. It really reminded me of the Complexity versus EG Game 2 from from the International last year. Do you remember that one?
I mean, that was a long time ago.
It was. This game stands out to me. And the reason why it stood out to me is because, remember, Complexity had really surprised people with how well they performed in the group stages. And then they went up in their first round against Evil Geniuses, and they got tilted game 1. In game 2, they had like a 5 or 6 minute long team fight that was just constantly, right at the beginning of the game, that was just them TPing out in mass, one at a time, to the top lane and getting bulldozed by Sumail et al. Right?
Yeah,
it just was, it was bad decision making. They just felt like the only way out was to double down on that aggression.
It was tilt, essentially. And I think we saw that from Amherst trying to figure things out. We saw sort of the Titan rotating in late on a couple of moves. Just a lot of people just sort of coming in one by one. And Purdue had a lineup that punished that. This time around, Purdue's going to grab the Spirit Breaker as opposed to Massachusetts that had it last time around. And maybe in a little bit of we'll show you how to run it. Lion is a really, really strong combo with Spirit Breaker. These two are going to cause a lot of trouble for Amherst because Lion, basically Spirit Breaker just waits till Lion puts his eye on somebody and then says charge him. And Lion can lock him in place as Spirit Breaker closes. He's not going anywhere while Spirit Breaker builds up his bash. Like, this is just a ridiculous amount of potential damage from those two alone. On the opposite, you've got your Darkseer and your Earthshaker. These are tried and true heroes. They're very popular right now. Darkseer, a lot of potential to sort of get farm without putting himself in a dangerous position. And I would guess that they will be giving that to the off lane this time and saying, just in case you get zoned out, at least now you can use the Ion Shell to farm.
Yeah, I also like the Darkseer for another more surreptitious reason, and that is he can make polling very difficult if he is
Yeah.
more or less on the ball. He can go out and drop an ion shell once it's level 3 ion shell, right? You can drop it on a creep in any given stack and basically wipe the stack out, so that if you try to pull with it, your pull just disintegrates immediately.
Radiant's
Now,
pick.
against a Darkseer, that typically means that you need to keep one support zoning almost all the time, which makes rotations much harder.
Right.
Now, whether or not UMA will actually execute on that aspect of the Darkseer, we have yet to see, but that is, in theory, one of the strengths of the hero as well.
Now, we will see Game of Tilt get the Bat Rider again, and I guess it's a classic case of it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm actually relatively surprised that we didn't see it banned out. We saw the Invoker banned, but this time it was by Purdue that banned it, not by their opponents. And they let the Bat Rider slide all the way through. They banned the Lone Druid instead. I don't know. After the last Bat Rider, would you have taken that off the board?
Not with the Spirit Breaker. You wouldn't. You don't normally see that much initiation. I guess that much initiation that requires follow up. Because Spirit Breaker, he starts a fight, but he doesn't usually end that fight. Somebody else comes in and helps him end that fight. Same for Bat Rider, right? You can get solo ganks, but in terms of a team fight, these are not heroes that begin and then immediately end whatever it is. They're heroes that kind of get the door open.
Makes sense. Now
that Rider, that player did very well though. A Game of Tilt. I now seeing it, I'm not surprised that they picked it.
So Juggernaut going to get picked up here as well. A man with a built-in BKB, something that they definitely could have used in the last game. The problem is he's up against a Spirit Breaker who does have the ability to sort of keep those stuns chained up regardless of whether or not you want to spin. Morphling gets picked up again by Purdue. So literally the last game, in my opinion, was lost to Morphling and Bat Rider with some help from the Invoker who did a good job in middle. But those two heroes really stood out for me in the early game, and they have both of them again.
Yeah, this is going to be trouble for UMA. They need to run a dual lane here. I don't think that they're capable. Their offlane player just got outmatched last time. I don't think that he's capable of facing up against this Morphling and winning. Morphling's a good ranged hero. He doesn't have the best range ever, but he's got enough range to deal with the Ion Shell. He can go for a Hand of Midas early if he wants to in order to deal with that Ion Shell even more. You really have to be very careful letting this Morphling get out of control like they did last game. We saw how devastating that was.
Disruptor gets picked up as a counter to the Bat Rider, and in a lot of ways also to the Spirit Breaker, and to a certain extent the Morphling. A good hero pickup here. The question is, right now it seems to me like Purdue is going to not only keep the same sort of momentum that they took off the last game, because a lot of these heroes are the same, but they've got a lot of initiation and a lot of just sort of pick-off potential. And I don't know that University of Massachusetts has the lineup to handle that. They've got some good control, but it looks like they're building for a team fight that they may never get to see.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually. They are building for a team fight for a better tomorrow. They have a dream that one day they'll have a team fight that they get to initiate, but it's with a Spirit Breaker, a Bat Rider, and a Morphling in play. I don't know that they're ever going to be the ones to start something.
Exactly. And so and if we've seen anything from Purdue in the last game, it's that they know. We said that their movements and the rotations were very fluid, right? They had a good idea of understanding the map, knowing what their opponents were thinking, and making moves when the whole team wasn't available. And that I would not be surprised to see continue. They pick up Pugna now as well. Pugna going to do a great job of sort of controlling a little bit of the map, but also keeping a split push available at all times. It's going to make a lot of space for so you have to sort of stop him, but worry about the gangs coming in. I'm very, very skeptical about University of Massachusetts draft so far, and their abilities, even with Razor. I don't know where Razor fits this.
I don't know where Razor fits in this particular. He doesn't really fit that well. But here's the deal: the other heroes here actually fit together really well. The problem is that they require NASA levels of coordination. Right, every moving component needs to execute at the same time, or else you've got the challenger. That's really not what they want.
Tell me about this Razor real quick, because Razor depends on sapping, obviously going head-to-head, one-on-one with somebody, putting out a lot of damage. And I feel like there's no hero on Purdue's lineup that is going to really fall victim to that in the sense of you've
Spirit
got,
Breaker a little bit.
I guess, Spirit Breaker, but you've got the ability to sort of charge stun, maybe get away with the charge, get away with the Morphling waveform, get away with the Firefly.
Yeah, but if you are getting away from Razor with the charge, that means you're disengaging.
That
means Razor won the fight, right? It's not like a waveform out where Morphling can waveform out, then turn around and beat you senseless. It's not the same thing as a 4-step out like the Bat Rider's going to have. Honestly, probably the Lion will have 1, 2 at some point, unless he gets greedy and goes for a blink. Razor does, I mean, he does kind of fit. He's got some pretty decent damage in an AoE with the Plasma Field. The Eye of Storm does well in team fights that are clustered and chaotic. Right. And alongside the stuns and disables that are coming out of his teammates, he should be able to latch decently long static links in team fights.
Okay.
But here's the problem. That all requires everything to go their way. It requires that Purdue does not throw a stick in the spokes of their plan.
And speaking of Purdue, let's do some quick introductions. The guys who've already smoked Purdue University boiling up early. We're going to have Kill Someone on the Lion. We're going to have Han on the Pugna. Morphling played by G. The Bat Rider will be Game of Tilt again. And last but not least, we're going to have Tweak on the Spirit Breaker. As they get the engagement, in they come, they find Rain. Worst case scenario, the Juggernaut goes for the spin. There's a lot of damage in the early game right now, but Kill Someone's going to use body blocks to make sure it doesn't get away. Easy first blood. The stun Fisher comes out too late from Steven. Han thinking about chasing. Tweak's got the charge. They say, you know what? We got a comfortable one. We are good with that. And not only did they pick off a hero to get the first blood, they picked off the best possible hero for them to find early.
Yeah, things are starting to already look a little bit too much like last game for UMA. They got read like a book in that fight, and even in the lead up to that fight. And not only that, but Purdue managed to get their ward up too, so they got everything they wanted there.
So let's, why don't you introduce the Radiant side real quick, because we might need to do this real quick.
All right, for UMA, we've got Dragonflyer playing it shocking on the Razor. Juggernaut is taking, or excuse me, Rain HS is taking Juggernaut for a spin. Powerful Goku has gotten Super Saiyan on the Dark Seer. Steven is stomped around the Earthshaker, and C is playing the Disruptor.
And those are the lineups as we see them. Let's wait and see how this game goes. A last hit tonight chart up for you guys. This is game 2 of University of Massachusetts Amherst versus Purdue University. These guys want to earn their way to DreamHack, and this is Purdue definitely making a case for why they deserve to be there. Tweak going to come in and harass back Powerful Goku. That's exactly what you said they had to do, is spend time harassing. Meanwhile, though, Game of Tilt gets popped. He went into sticky napalm instead of Firefly, and it's causing him a little bit of trouble as they're utilizing this fissure to keep him in right-click range.
Yeah, I just want to comment also on something you said, that Purdue is making a good case for why they belong at DreamHack. And I despite the fact that we've been talking about UMA, like they're getting trounced here a little bit, it really has been very good play from Purdue. Sure. And not necessarily a lot of really bad play from UMA. UMA have been playing reasonably well. I don't want to say they've been playing good Dota or well, but they've not been making huge, enormous mistakes that just make each one of them stands out. Like, why is this team even in this?
What's happening is we're seeing University of Massachusetts make what I would say are expected mistakes for collegiate Dota. The kind of thing that we expect to see. Maybe a slight overextension, a slight engagement a little too early. The problem they're running into is Purdue is maximizing those tiny mistakes every single time, and it's working out really, really well. I mean, look at this. Game of Tilt has got 3 napalm stacks on Steven. It's just fire flying in circles. He will actually... he's going to go down. He's done.
He's dead. Oh, what?
Whoa,
what?
no.
Okay.
I thought he was going to go cheeky on us. So he did a good play there. Got a little bit bold. And again, Collegiate Star Hubris League shows there is they get a good kill on the Bat Rider and goes 1 for 1. So already
better.
Right? I was going to say, I think it was 0 to like 12 last time. So
I think they got up to 0 to 14. Tweak is thinking about charging, though. You see him sitting here pensively on this cliff, thinking about his life choices. That's my favorite
Spirit Breaker stage, right? The first stage is thought process. The second stage is pensive consideration. The third stage is the charge. The fourth stage is delivering death.
Yeah, but of course, then you get a couple of those in, and then stage 1 just becomes the charge, and that's when you die over and over again.
Exactly.
At least that's how my games always go. I don't know about you. Here we go. He's charging
Here we
mid.
go. There's the mid. They're doing it last time. The link goes up. Han's going to go back and kite it a little bit. Tweak comes in, goes immediately for the body blocks. No stun, one. Not going to get the second stun. They've got to let him go. The 70% betrays him. A good rotation, though. It let Dragonfire know that he could not have his way with that link. Pugna's going to keep moving forward and taking some shots at the tower, I assume. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Rain HS going to clear the creeps very quickly. So it looks like, I guess they're going to try to push it. Why else would you spin through those creeps?
Yeah, it seems to be a push, right? They seem to want that. They don't really seem to be executing on it, but they seem to want it.
Let's check in on the Darkseer. Now, we said he was going to have a interesting lane that was going to depend a lot on keeping him zoned out, and it looks like they have, as he is level 2 currently, up against a level 4 Morphling.
Yeah, the Morphling still is not being shut down at all. Right? Remember I said they probably need to dual lane against that Morphling? This is that moment where we're starting to see he's got 18 and 19, sub 4 minutes. What the hell, man?
Well, I mean,
you gotta shut this guy down.
Every time that Goku tries to come forward, this Lion rotates right underneath, and he's going to do it again, and harasses him backwards, and Goku just cannot get a break.
Well, this is the deal, right? Remember in the draft, I also said, to deal with the Darkseer, one of the things that you really have to do is have somebody zoning all the time. Kill somebody who knows exactly what his bloody job is, and he is doing it beautifully. And there is nobody from UMA that is willing to rotate out to make the equivalent happen for their offlane. They seem to be having enough trouble making sure that they have some safety in the safe lane. Now,
Game of Tilt is level 5. His counter in the lane, Rain HS, is also level 5, despite that early gank going through. So he's getting a little bit of free farm as the Batrider has been forced to go back to base. Now, he went back the old-fashioned way. He let the creeps kill him. No big loss there as he was able to purchase before he went down.
Yeah, it's...
Free TP.
You know, that's basically what he was using it for, right? He knew that was going to happen.
Bottom tower's getting the business.
So he goes down.
Part of the strategy.
Rain HS going to continue to farm. That is a little bit something they got to keep their eye on. You don't want to let this Juggernaut get too far out early on. That Blade Fury so strong with the buff that came through a couple of patches ago for early pickoffs. Then you add to that the ultimate, and he can really cause some trouble for this Batrider. Tweak now on the bottom lane, hiding behind the trees. He's going to soak the XP as the Batrider is going to the jungle. They did this last time with the Lich, and it looks like it's going to happen again. Though I worry because you saw how strong the Lich got with those couple of minutes of off-lane experience. It's even worse when you talk about it on a Spirit Breaker.
Though I will say the Lich levels faster because he's got Dark Sacrifice, and he also does it safer because he has the Dark Sacrifice. He can control his lane a lot better than a Spirit Breaker can. So Spirit Breaker is literally just sitting here soaking experience. That sucks.
Oh,
but
big move on Pugna in the mid. Han's pretty much screwed. Doesn't have anywhere to go. He tries to make a turnaround on Dragonfire. He gets pulled back by Disruptor to break the connection, and he tries to get the final kill. Cannot do it, but now the charge was going after Dragonfire, canceled immediately. And a much-needed kill. Amherst up 2-1.
Yeah, and there you go. They are still not shutting down this Morphling, so it doesn't look like 2-1 for very long, but at least they are doing something. Like, they are rotating successfully. They are controlling lane equilibrium much better than they were last.
Yep. And I will say that the farm differential is a lot closer in this game than it was at this stage last time around. So they're doing a good job of sort of keeping things the way they needed to. Bottle Crow going to be going on for Dragonfire right now. Charge still coming through. He hasn't canceled. There it is. It's like, you know you can't keep going there, Tweak.
He is going to presumably get back into this offlane because they are just giving Juggernaut a chance to catch up, and he is catching up. 31 to Morphling's 36, and Morphling's been basically uncontested.
Yeah,
now granted, Morphling also has 36 denies.
Right.
But...
Well, Rain's only 100 gold behind in terms of farm stack, so he's doing a very good job of getting these last hits unharassed. Meanwhile, we will see Pugna throw a regen Brune into his bottle, protected for a very long time by the Lion. So the Pugna can keep moving forward. Up on top, G continues to just sort of do his own thing. Now we look towards the bottom. It's 3 men looking to, I think, hopefully push this tower sooner, or at least make something happen. Again, Purdue's doing what we saw Amherst do last time around, where they're committing a lot to try and get pickoffs on this middle position, and so far it has not panned out.
Yeah, but to be fair, they have rotated people into the offlane for experience. They have not committed onto this lane So their mid isn't losing experience on it either, and they haven't lost heroes in other lanes because of it. So it's not going quite as poorly as it
All
did
right, now
before,
here's
and
the
it looks
charge.
like
Han comes in, gonna take a lot of damage. Look at that, huge hits. He just gets melted down. Basically, put up a very good Decrepify, not caring much for the damage associated with the charge, but the stun locks him in range of that ultimate. That life drain for so long with the Decrepify is just so much damage.
Yeah, and Greater Bash is magical damage.
Sure.
So that Decrepify does make it greater by, what, like 30%? Something like that? Yeah, it's level 1, so 30%. That's nothing to shake a stick at,
I don't
certainly.
think, did he get the bash off? I don't think he actually got a bash.
Yeah, you get an automatic Greater Bash when you charge your
Contact.
darkness.
That makes sense. Tweak's now got a double damage. Gets hit by the Fisher right out of the gate. Rain wanted to use his ultimate on him, but decides it's not worth jumping towards the tower over a fissure in order to do it, and he'll continue to just make his farm go through, as it looks like he's going to build himself Yasha first here.
I just want to qualify a statement that I just made because I know it's going to come up in Twitch chat. You get an automatic Greater Bash from Charge of Darkness, but it does not actually count towards your PRD manipulator. There we go. Now, technical shit out of the way. Who are we talking about getting in Yasha? It's
Juggernaut.
Yeah, probably going into Sanj and Yasha.
I think so. I don't think an Ags.
Survivability push build.
Yeah, I don't think Ags is the right choice in this game. All right, now
Oh,
we rotation down. Uh-oh, Bat Rider got a Blink Dagger. Surprise, Steven! He says as he pulls him up to the high ground. Nice Fisher to buy some space. Decrepify comes out. That may actually save a life as Steven backs away. Here comes Tweak on the charge. Catches the double. A good charge. But now he's in no man's land. He's being chased on all sides by 3. We'll see the Fisher turn around in 3 seconds. Earthshaker's got to be careful. He's actually going to get caught by the Bat Rider. Misses the flame. Oh, this is bad. Bat Rider actually gets caught in the ultimate from the Juggernaut. They're 1 for 1. Tweak still trying to make something happen. Ultimate from Goku misses completely. But Tweak going to take a lot of damage. He's got a charge for safety. He will manage to get out. Gets past just about everything that could have stopped him, and they literally laid just a set of trap after another, and it goes 1 for 1. In the favor of UMA, I would say, is they got a Bat Rider for the price of an Earthshaker, but they didn't get as much as they wanted, and Morphling never left the top lane. He continues to just keep working. He's got a Perseverance up, and will now put damage on the tower.
Yeah, that is the thing, right? The Morphling not only never had to rotate out of the lane, but he never stopped farming in the lane. And now he's getting solo experience because his supports don't even need to be here.
Right.
So,
Here
if
comes
you
the
are
blink.
exchanging pretty even... Oh,
Ooh.
you
That
better
might-
run, Darkseer.
Ah, got him!
Yeah, he's done.
That Flame Strike was just enough to get the tower to finish the kill. That's just cruel, man. And now... I feel like it's like an old-timey newscast. And now back to top lane to check in on the Morphling. He's still farming.
Yeah, this is the danger zone. He's going to solo push down a tower as a Morphling at 1050. This shouldn't happen. A Morphling should never have this much space in the early game.
And it's what happened last time. It bit them in the backside. In the last game, he's going to take a tower here. He's got the right clicks waiting. He decides it's not worth sticking around. C comes forward. Good fissure. They're going to throw him backwards. He misses the kinetic field, though, and G will walk away.
One last top tower
Huh.
of the Radiant.
They didn't deny it?
They didn't get the deny either.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's depressing. Look at Han. Look at Han. Go, Han, go. Comes forward. A nice fissure to buy some space, and Han's going to have to back away. He got cheeky. And they're going to try to make him pay for it, or I thought they would. They decided it's not worth overcommitting here, as they don't know if Han's by himself or not.
So, do you know what Han is? Do you know what that is a reference to?
I mean,
Because I think it's relevant in this game. So Han is a concept in Korean, right? In Korea's culture, which is relatively Korean specialist because of how much of their history they've been oppressed by outside cultural influences. It's the idea that you are collectively just wildly against insurmountable odds, right? And you have this sense of profound sadness, but also distant hope. And I feel like Purdue is putting that onto UMA right now.
It could also be a Star Wars reference. Rain's going to make a run here. He gets fingered, though. It's dropping very low. Doesn't matter. This is a huge play. They get a double. That Spirit Breaker maybe has a little too much passion. He put his team in a tough situation because they had to follow to keep him alive. Now we're going to see Han put down the ward. He's going to try to back away. Works out effectively. They have to stop and kill the ward because they're taking a lot of damage from it. Good shot from him as well with that Nether Blast to put out a lot, but can he stop the push onto this tower is the question. Spiritbreaker's going to heal up and charge back out. Kill someone now can come up, as can Game of Tilt. You would think that they may TP towards the bottom, but Purdue has been very good about sort of spreading themselves out. The other problem is that G still has not come to a fight.
Now he's solo pushing down the mid lane, and only now has anybody realized that it gets pinged out, but it's going to be way too late. And still the 5-man push coming out. Earthshaker still without an ultimate, by the way. The charge is going to be coming in here on Powerful Goku.
All right, they're going to make their move. They go ahead. Wards in the trees. Well hidden. Earthshaker tries to get to it, but cannot. That's actually the perfect spot for it. There's the stun on Steven. He's basically left behind. Game of Tilt putting in some damage. He's going to go down. Now it's HS. Dropped outside the kinetic field. Good Nether Blast. Dragonfire goes in deep. He burns his ultimate. Will it be enough? Rain HS wants to go on Game of Tilt. Game of Tilt doesn't have a Firefly. He's got to go around. No wand either. He's going to go down to the spin. And they go 1-for-1 again. Batrider for Earthshaker seems to be the name of their trade game, which theoretically works in UMass's favor unless you consider the fact that G keeps doing whatever the hell G wants to do.
Yeah, he'll go back to the top now, maybe, and get some farm there. But he's got 2,400 gold chilling. It's 14 minutes in. He has almost 50 denies and almost 100 last hits. His net worth is about 1,000 above. He's got 120% the farm that the Juggernaut has.
Look at this. Powerful Goku hides in the trees, tries to get out of it, but it's not going to happen. Han comes around, puts up the life drain. That's a fast fish as he goes for safety. Will it be enough? Han's got a haste rune. He says, I'll chase you to the infinity and beyond, and sends him back to base. That was actually highly entertaining to see a surge fish chased by a hasted whatever the hell a Pugna is.
Dyer's mid tower won't last much longer.
Skull, he looks a little bit like, oh, wait, we're going to have, maybe? No,
I thought he was going.
He looks a little bit like Ghost Rider, doesn't he?
Yeah, you think he's like a dead gnome? I don't know.
Radiant's top tower.
All right, so now we see the smoke, and they're going to go into the trees. Batrider clears a Firefly path. He's going to go back in here, let Firefly cool down, I would imagine, and then look to get a blink initiation on this tower defense. Immediately, they're spread out on all sides. Tweak can do the same thing. Over in the middle, Dragonfire took a memo out of the Morphling's book, and C is not going to bother coming in either. Now, we do have Tweak down here. It looks like he was getting chased. TP comes in on C. C looks like he might be in a touch of trouble here. Tweak gets the charge on Steven. Kill someone's going to back him out. Kinetic Field comes out as well. Tweak gets pulled backwards, gets a nice little bash. Not going to be enough. He ends up going down. Now they've got to delay. They've got to make a run. Reyna HS puts out some damage. The ultimate from Disruptor not going to do very much. And they'll have to back off, having lost the Spiritbreaker, who is just a bit too bold again. G, meanwhile, farms his jungle.
Yeah, G just continues to farm away. That is a nice...
He's like a pub carry.
I mean, this is how this hero, in a traditional Dota, this is how this is supposed to work. These guys, if this were 2011, this would be the perfect execution of a Morphling strategy.
This is the team Envy wishes he had.
Yeah, no, this is precisely that era, that style of carry comes in. This is a burning style Morphling, right? This is a classic 4 protect 1, give him all the space he needs.
We're going to have the Firefly come up, stun, charge on Steven. Steven gets a nice little turnaround stun on Game of Tilt. Tweak is in very deep, has to be careful. Rain HS going to come in and put some work as well. Attacks on all 5, Kinetic Shield for some zoning. Game of Tilt gets C, Rain HS. Nice spin. Han's going to have to back away carefully. HS taking a lot of damage, though. Can they finish him? They can't right-click him. They need some spells. He'll go down. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Will they get Dragonfire? They want him bad. It's going to be... It is a It's a team wipe, baby. Purdue says...
He is in the fountain. He's not even thinking about coming to these things.
He doesn't care. It's a four-man fight that they wipe 5. They get a massive gold swing, a swing of 3,000 going their way. They go from an advantage of 4,000 to 7,500, and like you said, G don't care. He's just doing his own thing.
Earthshaker still doesn't have his ult either. So the fact that these guys from UMA are engaging on so many fights without taking any significant tower damage to their name, before the Earthshaker got their ult, really, I think, mischaracterizes how this strategy is supposed to work, which is get ults fast and then push on the healing ward, right? That's the idea, to make it too difficult for your opponents to push into you or stop your push, which is already a really hard strategy to execute into a skilled Batrider. That's really what the Batrider is designed to counter out. When your opponents are going to group up as 5, they really want to have this concerted engagement around a tower. You say, no way. You grab one, you shove them in the back drawer.
And he's actually been doing a very good job of that. This Bat Rider has been playing very, very well.
He's so
worth noting.
So on top of things.
Yeah.
Really, and UMA have had a lot of really good executed, or well executed strategy moments this game. But everybody from Purdue seems to be connected with everybody else, with the exception of, obviously, G, who is doing his job.
Well,
he just doesn't seem to be doing it in any way connected to his team.
And I think it's working very well in the sense of if you watch what the Bat Rider's been doing. So in this bottom fight that we saw down here, I thought a really good example of what he's been doing, which is he pops the Firefly, he shows himself with
G
exclusively.
is going to engage here in the bottom.
Oh, on the bottom, okay.
He's finally getting ready to move.
Rain HS jumps away. Steven comes in, gets up a nice Fissure, and G's going to have to back up at this point, but Rain HS wants to think about re-engaging. So what he's been doing is popping Firefly and showing in an effort to draw out a stun. He's forcing a Fissure or something of that sort to sort of negate his entry attack, but he does it at a point where that Fissure is completely irrelevant to the fight and then is on cooldown for the duration of combat. And it's just been a beautiful thing to watch. I want to see if he does it here again.
Yeah, he's also been doing a really good job. Not only is he doing this right here for that, but he's doing it for the flying vision as well. You can see over the trees and they can't see him.
They're going to go ahead and scout all around, look for TPs. He basically clears out the trees here and says, if you TP in, we're going to see you. As the glyph comes out just for funsies, G TPs to mid. He wants to get a kill. He goes on C. C dropping low. The shotgun is real. G's got to back away. He dodges the wall. Ooh, those Darkseer walls have not been as effective as I think UMass would have hoped, as
it wouldn't
Purdue
even matter.
keeps dodging it.
It's a level 1 wall.
Right.
It does a negligible amount of damage to a Morphling at that point. You know, it's, yeah, nice. You'll take a couple right clicks from yourself.
God, Morphling already has his Lincoln Sphere finished up.
Oh yeah, he's had that for a while. He's got 2,600 gold on top, dude.
Depressing, man.
2,700 gold almost on top of a Lincoln's at not 20 minutes.
Like I said, I wanted Purdue to win, but not like this.
But this is a much closer game than the last one.
That's true.
And this is by no means out of reach for UMA.
Speaking of which, Purdue up by almost 10,000 gold right now. XP at about the same. Let's check in on items of note. Besides Lincolns, we got the Aether Lens up on Pugna, which is just brutal. And we're going to see that come into play here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Powerful Goku walks into a powerful game of Tilt Firefly Meltdown. And there was nothing that Darkseer could do. All he wanted was to finish up his item, and he's not going to be so lucky. That sucks, man.
That you can't be
you
dealing with.
Can't be 6 feet out.
You can't be 6 feet out. Yeah, that's really where they are again in this game. They need the disruptor with ult nearby in order to win a fight or avoid a gank. They need to be able to glimpse the Bat Rider, and they need to be able to silence the Morphlings so that he can't replicate out, that he can't waveform away.
All right, they're going to bring 5 in, or 4 in to defend. It looks like Lion is going to rotate around, sees Steven. Steven sees Lion. They stare each other down the barrel. Lion's going to do a good job of locking him in place, takes away as much mana as he can. G comes forward. Steven will die out of position, and that will easily open up Purdue to push this tower. But instead, they decide they want to take the fight. They catch the Disruptor. Goku puts up the wall, but it's just not enough. Finger to the face. That's 3 down and a tower. No contest whatsoever.
Yeah, okay, this Morphling has gotten too far to control.
Yeah.
When it really does, I hate to put this much pressure onto one player. Specialty player has been dealing with so much and supporting from against so many odds, right? But this Disruptor is the only player that can make this game a win. It is entirely on this Disruptor now. He needs to get
and how does he do that?
Perfect Static Storm.
Perfect Static Storm. God.
And perfect glimpse on the Bat Rider.
It's got to be a perfect glimpse, perfect kinetic field into Static Storm. So, like, it's literally all of his skills have to be on point.
If he screws up the kinetic field, the Darkseer can compensate, and the Earthshaker can compensate. But he needs to make sure that at least the tools are there for his teammates to do some compensation, right?
So Juggernaut farmed through that last fight, has a Sanjiasha plus 2,000 up right now, as well as his phase boots. He's falling back pretty aggressively as he knows that they're looking for him. Tweak's going to go ahead and get a nice vision up here. So this is the scary thing about this lineup, is all they need is one ward. Anywhere in this jungle, and because it's a Spirit Breaker Bat Rider combo, they get a kill, right? So as University of Massachusetts, there's not even a place where you can go farm to try and get yourself caught up. HS and Steve are going to come in looking for a little something. We see Tweak backing off now. HS has his ultimate, decides he's going to stop and get a little bit of gold. Meanwhile, Han rotates around on the underneath. They've got this ward, so they know exactly what's here. Han wants to go on Goku. Goku pops the surge and runs away. There's the ultimate, but no! It's on an illusion! What an ulti bait! And immediately the charge comes from Steven. Boom goes the dynamite. Down goes the Earthshaker. Down goes the Darkseer. Down goes C. Spin to win, says Rain. Dragonfire separated from the rest of his team. Batrider's here too. He's got the lasso. Rain HS taking so much damage. It's 4 men down, and Dragonfire is left in no man's land. Hides in the trees and hits his TP scroll to run with his tail between his proverbial skirt.
And this is one of the reasons why the disruptor is so key here. Because if anybody else initiates, for one thing, you have to worry about it potentially being a Morphling replicate. They saw an opportunity, and it was not necessarily wrong of them for them to jump on it. But wow, Dragonfire playing with fire.
Playing with water, and this water hurts, baby. Hits like a freight train. Here they come, in they go. Kill someone, tries to make the move, but he misses. Gets caught in a stun, but here comes the charge from the rest of the team. Tweak wants to put some work in. Down goes the Earthshaker again. Dragonfire dropping very low. We see the mech utilized to buy some time. Goku taking some damage. Tweak's got to back away. No, Game of Tilt finishes off the Darkseer. Han's going to go ahead and keep the zoning game in play as they finish off this tower. Rain HS has TP'd it. He wants to fight. Game of Tilt taking a lot of damage, and everyone seems to want to back away. Han... It's almost like he didn't see Rain, or he wanted Rain to come after him or something. He's going to blink to the high ground. Tweak cancels the charge, and they'll be content with the tower and 2 more kills. Gold lead at 15,000. Give me my snowboard. This is the perfect slope for me with a little fresh powder on top. XP 15 as well, as Purdue gives us a masterclass in slow, patient play.
Honestly, I cannot praise Han enough this game. He did get picked off once in that mid lane, but we've been talking about a lot of players from Purdue. Han's Decrepify decisions and his placements on Netherboard have almost unilaterally been fight he never seems to Decrepify somebody who is about to be right-clicked down and cost the kill, which is already kind of difficult to avoid.
Right.
But then in addition, he's really good at predicting exactly where the fight's going to be. And granted, a good portion of that is coming out of Game of Tilt, who gets to dictate where the fight happens.
Right.
If the disruptor is not on point with the glimpse. But even so, this Pugna has been really exactly where he needs to be almost all of the time.
And now Pugna will push down middle lane, trying to get the last tier 2, or at least get a little harass on us. Got to be careful. Rotation coming around from powerful Goku. And the rest of the crew pops the surge, wants to make a charge. Fisher puts Han in a tough position, and he will blink to the other side of the tower, get another Nether Blast off, and back away. He's got kill someone in the offing, also has a blink dagger and a force staff to keep things safe, as well as the Batrider. The amount of blinks on this team is ridiculous. In they go. Powerful Goku taking a ton of damage, has to turn, surge, and run, and immediately Pugna will have himself back off a cooldown. The Ag Scepter is just so gosh darn strong. Steven in trouble. Game jumps in. Oh wow, he had to echo on one. He was so desperate. Tweak's gonna come through, gets a double stun, backs away, has the Shadow Blade procced, and now they're gonna carefully engage and then withdraw. Han ends up going down, but he takes a Darkseer with him. Tweak now goes for Dragonfire. Dragonfire gets stunned. Nice flame break. Will it be enough? Dragonfire getting low. The urn should finish the job. Rain now wants to run. Good play by Tweak to use the margins. That's 4 men down in a mid-tower, probably a high ground push. They're going to force the buyback from the Juggernaut, but there's no buyback on the Razor.
Radiant's mid tower.
Okay, so that was the first fight, other than that gank in mid, that I can conclusively say Han got too far forward.
Yeah.
But he did so and got a double kill.
Right.
And he also, I don't know if you saw, he dropped the ward over here prior to that fight, or right as that fight started engaging. So once again, the perfect place to put it. And that's not an intuitive location. Like, you would expect the fight to really gravitate over toward the tower. That's where you'd expect your opponents to run.
Well, and more importantly, his team did a good job of making sure that every time that they retreated or ebbed or flowed, it was in that general direction to keep the ward as part of the fight. And it was very well done. This is what we talked about time and time again. Purdue University executing very fluidly. No pun intended. But they legitimately have just been having sort of an ebb and flow to their game that is very, very impressive.
Yeah, they seem to really understand how pacing works in Dota, and specifically for their drafts as well. Now, UMA, once again, not out of it. Their high ground defense is pretty stellar, to be quite honest. Their late game is okay. Ideally, a lineup with a Razor and a Juggernaut, especially a Juggernaut who does 3 levels of healing ward. What they want is early tower advantage so that they can take control of the map.
They have not
and try to grab an early high ground. That's not happening anymore.
There's the grab on HS. Force stabs him out. He's caught. He's locked. He's rocked. He's probably going to go down here. Right click will finish it. Look at him run. Look at him go. Mech's going to help make the save. There's the charge from Tweak. Wants to go in. They do manage to finish him off. Turn back around. Barrow taking some serious damage. Wants to make the fight on Dragonfire. Beautiful play by G. Catches 1. Catches 2. They're going to make it 3 as Dragon's got to go for the run. G farms a little bit, but the life drain too strong on Han. Make it 3 for the price of none, but they're not done yet. Han jumps to the high ground. Hits C a couple of times, drains him down just a little bit, and puts some damage on the creeps as he also fights C at the same time.
Now here's the deal. G has been contributing obviously massive amounts of damage in these fights. But I'm not entirely sure that he's even necessary. But with all the farm he has, he's still doing comparable damage to the Pugna. Pugna did 1353 that fight. G only did 1412.
Nice Fishers, catches 3, a little bit of harass there, but the melee racks will still go down with very little contest. Range racks will drop as well, and I assume they'll rotate right up to the top here.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop them at this point. Up until now, I've been trying to be relatively optimistic, and they do have good high ground defense, and they do have the potential to come back if they just shore it up and grab that perfect disruptor execution. I don't see it happening anymore. They would have to win probably 4 team fights in a row now without losing any more structures before they could even drill through tier 2s realistically. And they're going to have to do it into the Aegis even if Purdue even sees them as enough of a threat to bother with the Aegis.
Darkseer's had the same items for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, he hasn't been able to get any farm because of some extenuating circumstances happening around and inside of his base.
That is true. What is he picking up here? Is he? Why would you get a? Looks like a mech. Why are you getting a mech, man? You already got a mech. Little miscommunication here from Amherst. Is Darkseer's been stuck trying to build this mech for 10 minutes that Razor already has.
I don't think that he's trying to build the mech anymore. I think he's going for a blink dagger.
Gotcha.
I think he started building the mech, realized that his Razor got the mech, decided I'm going to go for some mobility, and he's just holding on to a casual chainmail and headdress. Doesn't hurt to have it since he already bought it. Right?
Scouts
he could turn the headdress into a Vlad's if he wanted to. That would help the jug a lot. The headdress he can turn into, or excuse me, not the headdress, the chainmail. He can.
Rain gets caught in the lasso again. G jumps through him. Rain spins, but the damage is real. And
6 feet out, 6 feet under.
Right? I feel like I coined a new phrase. It's going to be top-notch usage going forward here.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
All right, Steven, nice. The mech is a lifesaver, but all it really seems to be is a stalling device, right? Kill someone comes in, gets up a nice stun. We're going to see the ultimate from the Disruptor, but it doesn't catch anybody. They just walk back out. They say, thank you for your ulti. We will leave now.
There's been a lot of that coming out of C. I think he's panicking, honestly. We saw some decent play from him to start this game out, right? It's not like I don't have faith that this player can land solid ultimates, but it really does seem like he is panicking. Now, this is very strange for me to see Purdue that now go do Roche when they know the Disruptor ult is down, which is honestly the only thing that can stop.
I think that they also worried, though, with the Roche. And I don't think that's a warranted worry at the speed they're going to be able to do this. That had, for some reason, University of Massachusetts been coordinated enough to smoke rotate to Roche right after them, that Disruptor ult would have been devastating in this pit. So
I honestly don't even think they could, though, with the amount of pressure flowing into this mid game and the amount or the lack of AoE damage on UMA. They don't have a Battle Fury on their jug. They don't have a Maelstrom anywhere. They've got 2 Sanj and Yashas on their team, and that's all they have. There's no way they can clear out.
I agree with the assessment, but I think Purdue has proven time and time again in this game, as well as the last one, that they will always take the safer option. Yeah. And I can't... I'm not going to fault them for that, because honestly,
for sure,
if taking the safer option means an extra 10 minutes on the game, but you get to go to DreamHack, then it seems like the right choice. Tweak on the charge, wants to make an engagement here, cancels out. Nice kinetic field to buy a little bit of space, but space isn't going to be enough. Meanwhile, up on the top, we see Dragonfire's not here. They now see him. They know that there's only 4 to defend. This will be an easy push-up. In they go. They catch Rain HS again with the lasso. He's going to go down. G gets another. That's 1. That's 2. Dragonfire TP's into a nightmare attack. He goes down to make it 3. They'll push to the high ground. I'm sorry, make it 4. Buyback on the Razor. That's 5 dead plus a buyback. Dragonfire can't even leave the base, and the racks will be taken to pieces. The only buyback left is on the Earthseeker. Here it is. Dragonfire caught, stalked, locked, dropped. It's a 5-man wipe. The team is dead. The racks will die. The game is over.
Yeah, so there are a couple of itemization decisions that could have made this go a little smoother for UMA. The Earthshaker, instead of saving for Blink Dagger, could have bought a Force Staff with his unreliable gold in components, right? That would have made it so that he was able to initiate on fights like that last one, and would have significantly helped out this fight potential. Because even though Earthshaker did catch a couple in his ult, they just stood there because they knew that there was no follow-up potential, right? Obviously, the miscommunication on mechanism between Razor and the Darkseer hurts a bit as well. And Juggernaut going for the Sanj and Yasha, while at first seeming like a good move, as the game started to tilt away from them, I'm not sure really that is necessarily the call. Although I can't think of anything that I guess would have been better.
Right.
But he lacked a lot of the individual blasting power that he would have needed, both to farm up and in order to contribute to these fights.
GG comes out. You can mark the spot on the graph where it started to happen. And
I've got to know.
Yeah.
I've got to know, Toppy.
So while you ask your question, we watch the end of this match, guys. It is abundantly clear that the boys from Purdue came to play, that they deserved their position, and they came to do it, and they did a great job. They really showed us that they know how to wait their turn and then take the fights that are right for them, not give up because of hubris, and just continue to fight forward. So kudos to Purdue as they advance their record even better to a whopping 8-2 in the division and are looking ahead towards the playoffs. A good show by University of Massachusetts Amherst, but today they just weren't able to take the win. My name's Toffees. You can find me at Toffees TV. I'm joined here by Gorgon the Wonder Cow, the man who knows everything there is to know about color. Great to have you here. Any last thoughts before we sign out for the night?
No, just happy to be back with CSL, and thanks for tuning in, guys. I know we've got a small audience tonight, but it's you guys that keep the CSL running.
Absolutely. We'll be back Thursday night. Tell your friends. Same time, same place. More college Dota. More fun as we get to the last 3 weeks before playoffs get underway. Make sure you follow at C Star League over on Twitter to get updates on what the next game coming up is. And I believe if you jump over to C Star League 2 right now, you can catch the tail end of the very unique StarCraft format that we are using for the tournament. So a lot of fun to watch that as well. I'm not a StarCraft player, but I get a kick out of watching it, so I'm going to head over there. Hopefully you will join me as well, but we'll play a song first, answer any questions you have in Twitch chat. Thanks for hanging out. We look forward to seeing you next week, and as always, Toffees out.